Welcome to Triumph Against Odds. My name still remains Obidike Okafor, and with me today is somebody I would like to call one of the legends of the real estate sphere. He's somebody who I have admired from afar, and he's somebody who, when it comes to real estate, you can't call real estate without calling his name because the two are always in sync. So don't go anywhere, and you will really, really enjoy this episode. It's not just about real estate, but it's also about a lot of things about business and life. See you in the next minute. Good morning, Mr. Ubosi. It's nice to have you on Triumph Against Odds. Let's just go straight into it so that we will get to know more about it, because even me, as I'm here, I'm very curious to know a lot about, what goes on in your mind and how you do things. So my first question will be, you spent more than 3 decades shaping Nigeria's real estate sector. How did your early life in Ibadan and Lagos shape the values you bring into your leadership today?
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Okafor. It's a pleasure to be on this podcast, Trial Against All Odds. And I thank you for considering me to be interviewed or be put on the podcast. Thank you. Your question says, how did my early years? My early years were primarily Lagos. I was born in Ibadan. And that was 1964. Shortly after that, we came into Lagos, and then the war started, and then we went back to the east, and we came back here. We came back to Lagos in the 1970s. So I spent primarily 90% of my life in Lagos. Now, let me give background to who or what I am. I went to primary school, I went to secondary school, Igbobi College, and I went to University of Lagos here. I studied estate management. I worked with the firm of Dia Fatimnehi & Co. And after about 6 or 7 years in Dia Fatimnehi & Co., my partner and I, Emeka Ele, set up Ubosi Ele & Co. in 1991. So my early years were basically, as you know, we were not called the Gen Z or the millennials or whatever. We were brought up by very strict parents. There were no mobile phones. There were no social media. You came home from school. You did your homework, you had your siesta, you studied. Network news was at 9 p.m. And of course, as soon as you start hearing the drums for network news, it's time for bed. And then from there, I went to Igbobi College. And I dare say that I'm very happy and proud for the fact that I went to Igbobi College, because a lot of the things that the networking possibilities or the networking that we have today, a lot of it comes from that school. The values that were inculcated in us in that school, the values of orderliness, the values of promptness, neatness, studying hard, working hard, the values of Christian values. It's an Anglican school. It means it's an Anglican and a Methodist school. But they were run by the missionaries in those days until the state government began to take over the schools, and a lot of things went haywire, and now they're back into the hands of the missionaries. So we had a lot of our upbringing in those early years set us on the right path today for a lot of the things that you see happening, not only my life, in the lives of people who, I dare say, between their 50s and above. We had parents who were not wealthy, but were comfortable, were content, and they inculcated in us those values of hard work. The values of, look, if you do things well, if you are orderly, these are the things that would come out of it. That's basically it. We set up practice in 1991. Hard work, tough work. And God has been faithful. God has been kind. We worked hard. We have a firm that has five other associate partners, my partner and I. So here we are today. And hopefully in a couple of years, I should be exiting the practice to go and do other things.
Other things.
Yeah.
Okay, so founding Ubosi and Co. in the early 90s was no small feat. What was the spark that made you believe you could create a firm that could stand the test of time?
Well, yes. I had always wanted to work. I had always wanted to do real estate. That interest came in very early in my life. I don't know why. Maybe the guidance, maybe the orientation of my father, maybe the mentoring of, and then, starting from my father, maybe I should also give a little background. My father was an engineer. He went to DMGS and he had quite a couple of friends. And I will mention some of their names. Chief Richard Okafor, Chief SN Okeke, Chief Joey Dudu, and so on. They were all his friends. And they studied estate management. And I'm sure, and they were doing well. They were doing well in the early 70s when estate management and real estate practice was just starting. So I'm sure he looked at them and probably said, I think I would love my son to model his life after these guys. And so that was it. He pushed me in that direction. I'm very glad that he did. And so once I took that interest and began to understand what real estate was about, we studied it in University of Lagos. We were the first set of estate management students in University of Lagos in 1982. We were the first set of estate management students. Then it was under business, the Faculty of Business Administration. Today, they've moved it to engineering, environmental sciences. That again is a discussion that I like to have. I think real estate is a business course. Real estate is a business course. It's not an environmental course. Because here you are dealing with buying and selling. You're dealing with asset appraisals. You're dealing with asset audit and so on. It's a business course. But again, that's a debate and a conversation for another day. So I did estate management. I came out. My partner also studied estate management in Unilag, and we felt that by the time we were coming out, we felt that there were opportunities in the industry. We felt that there were opportunities in the market. And we said, okay, let's watch. I worked with Dia Fatile and Co. My partner worked with Edomobi, Ikeyina Edomobi and Co. The firm is defunct now, but Senator Ikeyina is there, is still around. I think Chief Edomobi is also still around. And so in 1991, we set up practice. And it was tough. I can tell you, 2 young men, we borrowed at that time a total of maybe 21,000 naira. We borrowed. We paid for an office. We bought a computer. And we bought 1 car. That 21,000 naira could go a very long way at that time. Yeah, we bought 1 car, and that was it. We now put our heads down, and we knew that it was hard work, and we just stayed focused. We had our plans, we had our objectives, we had our vision, and we knew that hard work would create the opportunities and also create the luck that you need in making a success in business. And 35 years later, I can say that we are happy that we took that plunge and most likely have very little regrets.
Looking at your career now, do you feel you are at a crossroads or in a season of consolidation?
Very interesting question. I saw that question. Very interesting question. My boss in Dia, Fatim Leyanko, Mr. Kola Dia, said that it's always said something to us. He said it's only in the public service that you can get to a point and say, okay, I'm consolidating. In the private sector, you're either moving up or you're moving out.
Okay.
Now you need to understand that in proper context. In the public sector, you can get to a point and you say, okay, I'm PAMSEC, now let me just stabilize and retire and go. In the private sector, you can't, except you want to exit completely. You must be always upward bound, because the moment you decide that you want to consolidate or coast or maybe just rest, as you may have put it, you would be on the way down, because there are always competitors coming behind you, doing new things, doing greater things, a lot more creative, making more contacts, making more networks than you, and they will overtake you. And once they begin to overtake you, they begin to eat into your market share. And once they begin to eat into your market share, you're on your way down. So when you say, are we at crossroads or are we at a stage of consolidation, I like to say that I am always clawing my way up. Not even crossroads. At this point, crossroads means I'm not sure what next. I know what next. We're still going up. We're clawing our way up. We always have a vision of where we want to be every year, every 6 months, and so on. So there's no space, there's no room, there's no, what's the word? There's no time for that kind of rest and say consolidation. You're permanently on planning your next move that will take you 1-2 steps ahead of your competitors, and that means you're moving up. Yeah.
So has there been a personal belief or assumption you once held about real estate that no longer serves you?
No. Everything I have always known about real estate, and I learn about real estate every day.
Every day, yeah.
Tells me is what I've come with. I don't think that there's anything I have known about real estate that no longer serves me. I think that real estate is one of the best investments that anyone can make. It doesn't matter where you get that real estate investment. I think it is one of the best, and I know if I say this, people will say that's because it's the business I am in. But real estate is one thing that you can do and you don't have to worry about, especially in a place where you are certain about what you have acquired. Yes. Unlike stocks and shares, the company can close down. The management can one day eat up all the shareholders' funds and everything collapses and so on, or the economy can turn against you. Yeah. There's a popular saying about real estate. They're not making it anymore. The size of the whole earth is fixed. The size of earth on this our world is fixed. They're not making it anymore. So let me put that again in perspective for you. In Lagos, the size of Lagos is fixed. They're not making it anymore. So that's why you see so much reclamation. Everybody is now reclaiming into the water to get solid land on which to build on. Yeah. So everything I know about real estate has held 34, 35 years, possibly 40 years into practice. I have worked in the private sector all my life. I left school in 1985. So I worked in the private sector all my life. And this year is actually 40 years that I started working in real estate.
Was there ever a time you thought about stepping back from it all, and what made you stay?
Nope. There was never a time. I have always, again, let me contextualize this. One of the things they tell you about making a success of whatever you do is that you have to love it. You have to love what you're doing.
Yes,
It
definitely.
must not, don't let your, whatever it is that you do must not, whatever it is must not look like work
Yes.
for you. It must be something that you love.
Very good.
And that's how I have treated real estate and treated the practice of Ubosi and Co. So we were virtually working 24 hours. Even in our early days, we were virtually, I would take inspections Saturday, Sunday. One of my closest friends who lives close by here, I remember the property he bought from us. It was 3 a.m. in the morning. We were at a party. And I remembered, when I saw him, I said, come, there's a land near here that I think you would like. He said, I said, let's go and see. This was 3 a.m. at a
3
party.
a.m.?
Yes, at a
Wow.
party. So we drove to the land. He looked at it. He said, Chudi, I like this place.
But how can you see the land when it's night?
You're looking at bare land.
Okay.
You don't look at land as if I brought you into Ikoyi at night, you would still see what I'm showing you. You would know where you are. Your location, you'd have a fair idea. It was 3 a.m. in the morning. We went there. There are a couple of buildings around. He saw the place. And on Monday afternoon that day, he paid for it. Yeah. So, there's really, I love what I do. I love what I do. I love the challenge of picking a property, taking it into the market, getting a buyer. And I love that challenge of convincing a buyer or convincing a prospect that if you don't buy this land, if you don't buy this property, you could be losing something of immense value. And it's not just about buying and selling real estate. We also do a lot of other things, facility management, we develop. And then we do a lot of asset appraisals, valuations. It's always interesting when I look at people's assets. The man says, no, go and value my house in so place. We do the valuation. We send him a draft copy. And he calls me back and says, are you sure that this is my value? And I say, yes. He says, no. It's too much. I never knew that this property had appreciated so much. And I'd say, look, sir, that's why you should make your valuations very regular. And those are at times like that, that's when you also get some satisfaction that indeed you are in a place where you can help people. We do a lot of that kind of work for virtually all the financial institutions in Nigeria. They use our valuation reports, and it's a very essential tool for them when they're making advances, when they're lending money to customers. It's a very essential tool for them. And we are always very happy when people come back and tell us it's only your report is one of the few valuation reports that we can take with confidence and we go to sleep with. So we've never, when I look at our trajectory, there's nothing that we really can regret. In fact, I wish we could do a lot more. In fact, I wish I could have 20 years of youth added to me so I can do so much more.
So how did you and your firm adapt to keep moving when the market looked frozen? As in during times when, like, recession, and all of that, how were you able to, adapt to keep up with, the difficulties when the market was down and things were difficult?
Yeah. Again, we've had turbulent times in Nigeria. I can tell you, we've had turbulent times. Starting from, when we came into business as far back as June 12, the issue of June 12, 1993, and all that time when the country was shut down. Then we had 2 or 3 offices. People couldn't come to work and so on. But we survived. What did we do? We just kept whatever small resources that we had. We used it. We were able to keep our staff. For June 12, that whole period of July, August, and I think part of September, before there was that whole thing, we were going to work. We were not necessarily going to work. Half of the staff were at home and so on. I know where you're coming from is what have we done differently? Many times when you look at when there is a recession, another recession we went through was about 2010. That recession about 2008, 2009, 2010. It was a bad period. In fact, we had just bought some properties from one of the banks. We had taken a facility and bought properties from one of the banks, and we couldn't sell them. But again, you have to, for every business, when that time comes, you have to sit back sometimes and look at your business. What can we stop? And the nice thing about the real estate business and what we do is that there are many arms. We do sales, we do asset valuations, we buy, we develop, we do facility management. For us, there is always something. There will always be something that is moving. During that recession, as much of it's the fact that there was a recession, people were buying. And that's the strange and interesting thing about Nigeria. When you say there's a recession, when I'm trying to sell a property, I'm looking for one person. I'm just looking for one person with that money. I'm not looking for 200 people. If I'm trying to sell a property in Ikoyi, I'm looking for one single person with ₦1 billion or ₦1 million that I can convince that this is the time for you to put your money in this property, because when the tide changes, you would be making so much more. So at every point in time, the truth is that we adapt. We adapt. I don't know whether to use the word we are more for us, but yes, at the end of the day, when these challenges come, every time we step back, we look at what we have, we look at what we think we can push, and try and move on. Yeah.
Okay, so as someone who advises on billion naira property transaction, what's the toughest no you've had to give to a client, investor, or even to yourself?
I'm not sure. When you say no, I'm not sure.
So the point is, there are things that you have refused or not done because when you looked at it, you were like, either to a client or to an investor or to yourself. Maybe you feel, okay, we don't need this kind of investor. Maybe they have a shady past, or this client has something that, that kind of thing. We look at it and like, I feel we don't have to deal with this client. There might be a better client that might come.
Okay.
So I've seen another kind of thing. So what has been for you those, as in, when you had to say no, what has been those things?
I see where you're coming from. Yeah. We've had they're not that many. The areas where we actually put our foot down very strongly is always in the area of valuations, asset appraisals, because many times people want to dictate the values to us. Their property is worth 10 naira, and he's trying very hard to convince you it's worth 100 naira, and he wants you to put it down in that report. Because he's taking that report, he's going to a financial institution, he's going to drop it with them, and they're going to extend him a facility based on the strength of that valuation report. Yeah, so I had mentioned earlier that we work for virtually all the institutions, the financial institutions, and they rely very strongly. Very early in practice, very, very early in practice, we understood our role in that ecosystem. And we knew that we could not afford to have a problem or to get sanctioned. Not just that we could not afford to have a valuation report that would be tainted,
Yes.
or that would be questioned, or that the values themselves would be such that the banks will turn around to us and say, look, you led us astray. So a lot of times, we get those pressures, and I say no. Please take your job, take your valuation elsewhere. They will gladly give you whatever value you want, but we will not do it. And as often as you begin to refuse, you find that the word is out there in the industry that these guys will not compromise. They have standards, they have lines with which they will not cross. So word gets out. And then, of course, the other thing is, now and again, yes, we do have that occasional buyer who comes in. With all the money laundering laws and so on that we have in Nigeria, many times for big ticket transactions, I always need to know where you are coming from, who you are, where is this money coming from? Because, at the end of the day, no matter what, everybody has, all the government agencies do have access to all our accounts. So when those monies move, they can flag your account and ask you, okay, so who is this guy? Where is this? So you should be able to answer those questions. But yeah, now and again, not very often, because again, people have learned. So not very often, but yes, now and again, maybe once in a couple of years, we have transactions that we say, look, sir, I'm sorry, we can't do this. And these are the reasons why we can't do them. Maybe because we're not clear about the source of the funds, or even talk about ownership of the property. Again, yeah, people can come and tell you, oh, I need to sell this property. Where are the documents? Oh, the document is there, the document is there. Well, we need to see these documents before we can proceed. They don't come up with them. After a while, say, look, sir, I'm not sure that we can do this. Yeah.
So when the numbers look daunting, how do you balance optimism about solutions with the realism of entrenched challenges?
When the numbers look daunting, that's what we talked about. I've talked about that when I said, is there anything else that we could do differently? I don't know what numbers. At the end in Nigeria, every day is daunting. It's every morning, every day is daunting. Numbers from the government, numbers from the banks, numbers you get on the streets, numbers you get in your office. Every day is daunting.
But what makes you optimistic? What makes you optimistic without denying the realities that you see?
Yeah, I will tell you, that for me is very easy. I wouldn't exchange Nigeria for any other country. I can't be anywhere else. This is the place. What makes you go on every day? Because every day you step out on the streets, you can see opportunities. Opportunities every day. And like they say, the Chinese say that is the same word that describes the translation for opportunity and challenge is the same word. But Nigeria is interesting. Every day you get out, you can see opportunities. I mean, real estate. Every day I drive out and I see an old building, I know that that's an opportunity. We could do something with that property. Every day I go out and I see people teeming population. That's an opportunity. These guys need to be housed. I see industries. These guys need valuation reports. I see vehicles. These guys need to move. So you look at it. You must have that mindset. It's a mindset that gradually comes with time. When you begin to understand the environment, you could see the challenges. You can see the bad roads. When you talked about figures, I was going to smile and say, when you get to the office in the morning, maybe on a Monday morning, and the accountant puts the cost of diesel for you, and you look at it, it's 800,000, and you are wondering, whoa, you are still shouting, whoa. Then you look at what it costs you to fuel the cars for a week. It's 1 million something. Some days you want to, like, man, please, you know what? Let me just go back home. You guys do let me go home and rest my head. I can't handle this. But you also know that when you look at those figures are what enables you go out there and look at those opportunities and be able to take on those opportunities and make the income, convert those opportunities to business and make income that will be 10 times more than those figures that you're signing in the office and are making you feel very uncomfortable. But that's for me.
What you said is very true, because you look at those things and you're like, even though I have to pay for these things, but at the end of the day, you have to pass through that pain to get to where you're going to.
Yeah. Let me a story I always tell my staff is, when we were some other meetings and discussions, I say, look, it's okay to work in an office. You take a lot of things for granted. When you own the office, even a biro, you'll suddenly discover that the cost of biros is a lot of money. You know, you could discover that easily you're doing 250,000 on biros every year. And you look at your own singular biro and say, no, but this is 100 naira, this is 150 naira. No, it's not. You're now buying biros for the entire office. So everything costs money when you run your office. And at the end of the day, those are the numbers that when you sit at the head of the organization that you see. Those are the numbers that you see. Those are the numbers that are daunting, you know, and those are numbers that some days you have a headache. You want somebody else to do it. But hey, that's what it takes to sit at the top of the organization.
So what bold move would you make today to radically change the face of Nigerian real estate? I mean, if there are no challenges, I won't say fear, I would say if there are no challenges and nothing, and you just, you know, you could do this thing, what bold move would you make for real estate?
You know what I would do? First thing, deal with the Land Use Act.
Okay, the Land Use Act.
Yeah. Maybe not scrap it. Change a lot of sections. The sections that give governors and the federal government power over every property. No, you can't. We've talked so much about that, but yeah, that's one of the first things I would deal with. I would change things that will ease access to land. I would change things that would make registration of title very easy. Here in Nigeria, Nigeria is sitting on 923,000 square kilometers. 927,000 square kilometers. That's the land area of Nigeria. Less than 5%, okay, let's even be generous, 8% of this country, of that 927,000 kilometers, only 8% is titled.
Wow.
Yeah. Only 10% is titled. And when you read, what's his name? Hernandez Soto. When you read his book, The Capital, something about, I've forgotten that. I mean, that's Capital. When you read his book on Capital, it says that the singular thing that changes the lives of real estate owners is title. Every one of us, and his background is simple. His background is simple. We all come from villages.
Yes.
Everybody in the village, once you are born, your family knows you have, the family has a plot of land.
Sorry.
Your family knows that as you are born, in Nigeria, usually for the Igbos, the male child already knows. They already know that they have a plot of land for it. Yes. Maybe the females, because they believe the females will marry and go.
Mm.
But things are changing.
Yes.
In the southwest here, everybody inherits, male and female. So you have your plot of land, but you can't. That land is useless to you because you don't have title to it.
Yeah.
That land is useless to you.
I've never thought about that.
Mr. Okafor, if you have land in your village, why don't you go and take it and run an industry? Because nobody will take it from you. It has no title. It's just land. It's your word against.
It's your word against
because the day the industry sets up, somebody else can come and say, no, now it wasn't Mr. Okafor's land. In fact, it's his younger brother that owns it. The man is mistaken. And so a tussle will start. But if you had title to that land, it changes the dynamics. It changes completely the dynamics. You can use that land as your own equity contribution in a business. You can sell it. You can develop it. You can take a facility with it. The dynamics completely changes. And so one of the things that I would do is just change this thing about registration of land. It's not about making. Many of the state governments have converted it to a money-making venture, Lagos and so on. It's not about making that money originally. It's about the possibilities that it opens for people along the road. Not just people, the economy, the system, the state. If I develop my land, I create employment, I add value, I'm buying building materials, I'm creating jobs, I'm using it for some other activity that creates jobs. I'm paying taxes. I'm paying taxes on whatever it is that I'm doing there. I'm paying ground rent. I'm paying land use charge. So it's not about collecting hundreds of millions from me upfront. It's about understanding that along the road, when that land is titled, there's so much more that can be done. And if people have title to their land, it will lift easily 60-70% of Nigerians out of this so-called poverty that we're talking about. Because with title to your land, the dynamics changes completely. Yeah. So that's, for me, is something that I will do. Of course, again, I will strengthen the courts. The courts, so that the average land case today is 30 years. You start it, 25, 30 years, you're still in court.
Wow.
So I would strengthen, and I'm talking from my own perspective as a real estate practitioner. So I would ensure that real estate cases, I'm sure, let me put it, I'll try and ensure that commercial cases, real estate and so on, are dispensed of within 3 to 6 months. If it means creating more judges and more jurisdictions. But, make the system strong. Because those are the things that will enable the economy grow. Yeah.
So imagine the next 5 years of your life as a book chapter. What would the title be, and what story would it tell?
The next 5 years of my life.
Yes. If it was a book chapter, what would the title be, and what would the story be about? What would be the story arc?
What would I title it? I haven't thought about that. But the next 5 years, I still want to do a lot of real estate. I want to go into development. I want to do a lot more development. The next 5 years, I think, because one is also looking at quitting, you want to also begin to look at not consolidating. You want to also begin to look at ensuring that you have begun to look ahead of the years when you will no longer be able to earn as much as you're earning now. Again, let me put that in perspective. I saw you drove in. You offloaded. I came down the stairs. So, for 10, 15 years from now, you may not be able to drive. I may not be able to walk down the stairs unaided. I may not be able to make the calls that generate money for me. There will be younger people who are a lot more dynamic, who are a lot more active, who have a lot more strength. Today we're doing this interview. In 10 years, 15 years from now, you may not be able to wake up before 12 midday. You may not be able to wake up before 12 midday in the afternoon. Not because you don't want to, but because you just don't have the energy. So, again, it's something that I see with a lot of people. You know, you walk, and then suddenly you stop, and then you have so much, it can't take care of you after that income has stopped. So I'm going to do a lot more. Hopefully, as the money comes, I'm going to do a lot more investments, and now with a view to ensuring that I'm taking care of my old age. I keep telling my wife that, look, we will travel the world. Don't worry.
Just relax.
Just relax. We'll travel the world.
Okay. So what I want to ask is, what is that when you look now? I know you've been around for 40 years, but when you look at it now, what is that before you started, you went into real estate? What is the one thing you wish somebody had told you before you started? When you think about it, I say, I wish somebody had told me it would be like this, or that kind of thing. What's one thing you wish somebody had maybe whispered in your ear, or told you before you went on this long journey, this journey that has been so long?
Yeah. Okay, I wouldn't say it's one thing. I think, okay, let me put it this way. If I was talking to my younger self, because I was reading somewhere that occasionally you should talk to your younger self. If I was talking to my younger self, the first thing I wish somebody had told me is that, look, be confident in the fact that you will succeed. We all start. You are just not sure. There are always those doubts. What will happen? Will I make it? Will I be able to? Will I have that success that I needed? And so on. I think people should be confident in the fact that if you work hard, if you stay focused, and you just do the things. Yeah, just persistence and consistent, you will succeed. That mindset is very important. Very, very important. The other thing that I would say, which when I speak to a couple of estate surveyors now, even those who are just coming into the industry, setting up their own practices, occasionally they come and rub minds with me and ask me these questions. And I say to them, one of the things that I would advise you to do, always invest in your firm, which we did, but invest in real estate. One other thing I would encourage people is what I call delayed gratification, which is save your money. I was reading somewhere a few days ago. It says, when you earn 100%, spend 50, save 30, invest 20. The 50, 30, 20 rule. I don't know how possible it is today in Nigeria for people, but it makes, even if you can't do 50, 20, 30, it's a guide to what you can do. But particularly for a lot of young people, and not just in real estate, invest in real estate. The plot of land that you buy 5 million today, in 10 years would be worth 50 million, 60 million. When that money is coming back into your pocket, it will look like if you just won the lottery, because you would have forgotten the pain and the sacrifice that you used to make that 5 million naira payment at that time. And I also say, look, if you can't buy that property alone, set up an investment group. 4 or 5 of you. If the property is 20 million, 4 of you, 5 of you come up with 4 million, 5 million, buy it. Hold it. Hold it for 2 years, 3 years. Sell it. Take the money. Put it somewhere else again. take out some profit, put it somewhere else again, and buy. Maybe by the time you've done it 2-3 times, you would then have your own capital to be able to do these things alone. But the reason why I say this is that life is interesting. When you have these investments, life doesn't get easier as you age. That's another thing. In your 20s, it's like, man, this life is fantastic. You're earning good money, you're driving a car every weekend, party, club, everything is good. You get married. Suddenly, it's no longer as easy. You now have somebody, you must clear a lot of things with your wife.
True.
You must clear a lot of things. So I'm going to London. But you just came back 3 months ago. What are you going to do? I just want to go home. No. We could do something else with that money. Then the children come. School fees come. If it's a private school, you know the 2 million in term, or Nigeria is also a funny country. You pay more when your children are in kindergarten than when you are in university. So the children come. You want the best for your children. So primary school, secondary school, university, you have to get a bigger house. You have to get now, you and your wife, instead of one car, you have to get two cars. You have to get 3 cars because one car has to take the children to school. I mean, we all have different levels. Yes. Your wife goes with one, you go with one. You can't. So, these things all come at you. What cushions a lot of those pressures are those investments that you have done in the past when you were much younger. So you put 1 million in a plot of land in somewhere on the outskirts of Lagos. You forgot about it. You put it where you were 30. By the time you are looking at it, you are 45. You remember that land is there. You go and look at it. Oh, somebody is ready to offer you 80 million for it. You're saying, are you sure the man? We're talking about the same land. And then they point to you and say, how about this man sold his own, this man sold his own. And you are wondering, this land I paid 1 million for it. So, for me, that's something that I encourage people to do. And not just real estate people, everybody. Try and have that mindset of putting money in investments. And because I'm in real estate, I always talk about the real estate investment. So if I was going to talk to people or advise myself, those are the things. I learned that a little later in practice. And that's why when you asked me about what my next 5 years would be, I'm going to put quite a lot more money into real estate investments. Yeah, I'm going to try and put a lot more money into real estate investments, because hopefully in a couple of years, I want to be able to sleep till 12 midday. If I don't want to go to work on that day, I pick up my golf bag and go and play golf, and then I come back home.
If young Chukwudi Ubosi was here and he saw you today, what reaction do you think he'll have seeing you where you are right now?
When he sees me, I said, when you asked me a question, I think the last question, and I said, one of the things that I wish somebody had whispered into my ear is just be confident that you will succeed. When you go into, it doesn't matter, practice, you set up an industry, you're not just sure. But every day you go out there, you do what it takes, whatever it takes to move ahead, you do it. And gradually, your efforts, your struggles, your challenges begin to yield results. And it's like a plane that is taking off. The most dangerous part of an aircraft is that point when it's taking off. So you're constantly, for someone in practice, you're constantly taking off. You're constantly taking off. A plane takes off and then the pilot tells you, we're now cruising at so many. But always remember, even that aircraft, when you look at it and the pilot says we're cruising, the nose of the aircraft is always slightly up. So he has to constantly be moving against the wind. It's the same thing about practice. So at any point in time, you are not just sure about that success, but after so many years, you then begin to understand and say, we made it. What would surprise me is that I have come this far. And we've made a success of what we started. We've come this far. We've made a success of what we started. I wouldn't say that I didn't think we could come this far, but it's not always a gain, and it's very important to be very clear. It's not always a gain about us, the person. There are a lot of factors that come into play. Again, it's about the hand of God, providence, God, favor, and all kinds of so many small things that come together to actually lift you and put you in that space where you will look back and say, wow, we made it a success. Was it my whole contribution? No. Was it the contribution of my partner? No. We've done so many things, we get so many briefs that people just call you out of the blues. They don't even know who you are. They've just seen your name and they say, okay, look, I want you to do something for me. You take on transactions that you think, oh, wow, this thing is going to be very difficult. We won't do anything. In 1 week, you finished it and you're making so many millions or whatever in fees and so on. So it's not always about the person. I would like to say that at the end of the day, the hand of faith and God, I'm a Christian, the hand of faith and God has been very strong in taking us to where we are today. Surprised? Would I be surprised at who I am today? I think so. I think I would be surprised
of how far
I have come. I'm sure that we never knew we could come this far. But when each time the opportunity came to leapfrog or move ahead, we did it. And we thank God that He's brought us this far.
Okay, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Mr. Chukwudi. Is it Chudi or Chukwudi? Because
Yeah.
I've seen somewhere Chukwudi, I've seen somewhere Chudi. So I said, when I see you, I will ask you, is it Chukwudi or Chudi?
My full name is Chukwudi.
Chukwudi.
Chukwudi, which means, as an Igbo mentioned, that there is God. God exists. Chukwudi. But
Chudi Ubosi.
I had to cut it short because a lot of people couldn't pronounce the full name. Even you are not getting it right.
Chukwudi.
Not Chukwudi. Chukwudi.
Okay.
Chukwudi. The only person that gets it right is my mom, and when she calls you that full name, there's a problem.
Okay, so it's so nice to have you on Triumph Against Odds. But at this point, I think we have come to the end. Thank you. I would like to say, I hope you keep in touch. Let's keep talking.
Yeah.
Real estate is a fascinating topic. It's something that you can, there's so much to learn, there's so much to do, there's so much to achieve in it and all of that. Yeah. So even after now, we can still, keep this conversation going. And then also,
anytime, you
can keep us abreast of, your journey, how you're going and all of that, so that we can also, follow you and know how you're going. You've been here, you've been doing this for like 40 years. It's been interesting to know what's happening next.
In fact, we had a partnership meeting yesterday, which was virtually the whole day, and we're going. Next year will be 35 years of Ubosi and Co.
That's so nice.
And so we're going to we're going to celebrate it, and I will let you know.
No problem.
I'll let you know how so that you can be part of it.
No problem. That would be awesome. So thank you for watching another episode of Triumph Against Odds. We want to say thank you for staying tuned. And like we always say here, always stay resilient and don't lose hope. Thank you.